author of Tripping Over Canvases, How to Open Your Own Art Gallery with No Experience, and art director here at Above Art Studios, located at 55 Moore Street, downtown New Brunswick, New Jersey.
Yeah, yeah.
So in your position, you you write a lot of grants. Am I correct?
Yes, I do. And so far this year, they've all been approved. I'm waiting on two right now.
Nice, nice.
I'm
So,
very successful this year, not every year, but this year. Yeah.
so with the grant, so you're essentially just find any applicable grants to
Yeah,
your
you do the
organization.
research. You have to do the research. You have to look for them. Yeah, you have to look for what you need. Like right now, I'm on the lookout now. I'm also producing at my job at the Bayshore Center. I'm producing a film that's called Traditions in Transition, colon, who is shucking now? Because we're all about the oyster industry down our way. And the shucking houses were really big. And it was the African Americans who were brought up from uh, the Eastern Shore, Maryland, to shuck. And now there's not as many shucking houses, but the shucking houses that are there, I want to know who's shucking now because I'm pretty sure it's not the African Americans. Might be one or two, but I'm pretty sure we can figure that it's probably either the Hispanics and Asians or maybe just all Hispanics. But I want to really let people know. We all know as a people, we know why we're probably not shucking anymore. It wasn't passed down
Yeah.
to the kids because we want better for our kids. But I want the world to know what it used to be like, what it is now, and why the transition between the culture who was there and who's there now. So I'm producing that. So I've gotten 70 about 70% of that already financed. I'm just trying to find the rest of that now.
Beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's lovely to
yeah.
hear. So grants can be a huge resource and source of income for artists. And on this podcast, one of the biggest things, what we're all about is entrepreneurship. And pay the artists. Um, how can an artist go about learning how to write grants or how to get the proper verbiage or maybe find some resources that can help them in their pursuit to fund their art careers.
Um, there was a time when I would say that I look to artists to do the art, to do the work. And I used to feel that artists should let the management arm do all the other stuff. Stay creative.
Mm,
Business wise, I like to think that that's why in the music industry, that's why the musicians have a whole team.
yes. Okay.
Okay. And even in the visual arts, sometimes there's a team, the team to promote them, team to help them find sponsors, uh, like in the old days, have salons where they have a benefactor who just gives them money for their art, for their supplies and stuff back in the old days. Um, and that's what I would normally say. But I know that today a lot of people want to do their own thing, and it is harder when you're an artist. It is harder to sell yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even in a grant, you got to sell yourself in the grant. So you almost, as an artist, you almost have to step outside yourself and not be as looking at it from a personal side because you need the money and everything, and look at it to say that you're doing it for this artist over here. This is the art part of you over here, and that you got to write it so that it makes sense for that person over there. And you write to the reader, by the way. You always write your grants to who's receiving it, who's going to be reading it on the other side. Now, there are plenty of, and I'm saying there are plenty of, I don't know so much about visual arts, but I know performing arts. There are lots of fellowships and there are lots of what do you call them? I'm going to say retreats, places where you can apply to go do your art. Like let's say you're working on a collection of you're trying to finish your next show, your next art exhibit, and your studio is already full of stuff and you just need to get away. You just need to get away to clear your head and work on some pieces that you're having some problems with. I know that people who write, they do that a lot. There are places that you can look up online and try to find, and they give you money to even come. They give you money and let you come and stay at their places, uh, and you're there with other artists, so you get to commune with other artists as well. Artist retreats, that's what they think they're called. Yeah, retreat houses and stuff, and actually do your work. And that will help you as well, because that frees you up from and there are places that also give you money for that too as well, just money so that you can survive on this for a little while. But you just have to do the research, or get with somebody who will do the research and do the work for you, but then, and I'm not a proponent of people getting grant writers and pay them a part of the grant. I'm not for that. I'm a grant writer, but I would never say that I'm going to get my cut out of this grant. I want 10% of whatever I raise for you or whatever. I feel like just like artists should set up their fee, then a grant writer should just set a freaking fee. So if you're going to go with a grant writer, make sure you get a cut and dry fee. Don't get them to promise you they're going to raise this money and I want this percentage of that money. That money should be for you. You should be, if you're going to willing to pay somebody, you pay them for what they're worth, just like you want somebody to pay you for what your stuff is worth. So I'm a believer in you can always negotiate, but you still start off with what you ask them, what they charge, but if they say they want a piece, I want 25% of what I raise for you. I'm not for that. To me, it should be a little cut and drier than that, but but there's grants out here for individuals as well. I know about the New Jersey State Council on the Arts grants, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, but there are others. You just have to. It takes research. It does take research.
Yeah. Is that like a common practice, the percentage thing?
I have heard that it has been. I thought it was poo-pooed on, but somebody recently asked me, how much cut do you take of your grants that you write? Somebody asked because they wanted me to write a grant for them, and they just assumed that's what I was going to do. But I thought I remembered that was poo-pooed upon by the powers that be. Like the grantee, like the funders.
Okay.
Like if you were telling a funder you were getting a grant writer, and I don't know. But I don't know. I don't quote me on that, but I think it's a bad practice.
Yeah, because I mean, essentially, you're saying I'm going to use this money for this, and I'm sure it's not being written in that you're going to use it to pay the grant writer, which means that's misappropriation of funds.
Right.
So.
But I know for a fact that's how it used to be a while. The people and there's still probably some people out here doing it. I mean, I'm not gonna be surprised. But that's a no to me. Okay, I'm just saying that.
Give us like maybe some type of range, or like what should we be looking to pay for a grant writer? I'm asking because I need one. So
I don't know that I would have to. I think that's something else that needs to be researched. I think if I were doing it, I would just base it on my relationship with the person, how much time I had on my hands, how hard it was going to be to do the work. A lot of things that would enter into it, like it may be hardly, it might be $100, it may be $50. Depends on how easy the grant is. I mean, because like if it's a government grant, oh my God, I'm still filling out some paperwork right now on a grant that and it's like only the seventh. I just did the NOAA. There's one National Oceanographic and Aeronautics, NOAA and New Jersey State Council on Arts had a grant that was out where we get some money for an artist, a visual artist, and money for the organization. And I'll say it's under $20,000 grant. Okay. And the amount of paperwork that I had to read through, because it was the government, federal government with NOAA, they have so much paperwork to do. It's like, oh my God, I would charge more for that because it's a pain in the ass. I'm sorry, but it is. Like an NEA grant is like a lot of work as opposed to, let's say, some local community foundation, So it depends on how much work is involved. Some people charge by the hour, but me, I would base it on how much time I had to give to it, and if it's hard or going to be easy to do. Because some things you can just kind of like just go, you really can. Don't let anybody fool you. Some of these can be pretty easy to write.
So when you get hired as a grant writer, the person looking for the grant typically knows what grant they're looking for when they ask you to write it, or they just.
And now your sound went out, but I did hear you. I read your lips. But I would say that it depends. Sometimes it could be the person already knows what grant they're trying to do. The artist would know the grant and then ask for help, or they'll want somebody to help them find the grants. So there again, that would depend on how much time a grant writer would have to look up the grant, review the grants, to look for the grants. I'm always on the lookout for grants, and I have I have friends. I have friends who say, who tell me there's something they're working on, and sometimes I'll just go. Case in point, there's a mural artist, and I don't know if you know her name is Kelly Privard.
No.
Okay, she's out of Atlantic City.
Okay.
Okay. Now Kelly's in Atlantic City, and I remember when I first, and she beautiful work. You can look her up when you finish. Okay, Kelly with the EY, Kelley, Prevard. Do you know Travis Love?
The name sounds very familiar.
Okay, he's up that way. Anyway, but he also works for Rutgers now. No, works for Stockton now. But anyway, it's Travis's sister. Kelly had when I first saw Kelly's work, I fell in love with it, and I said we were doing a play with her brother was directing a play I was in, and I said, Kelly, I said, these are beautiful. Are you, how much are you charging for these? And they're big works. They're big. She has big paintings. And so she says, oh, I can't part with him. I can't part with him. Right. And I said, girl, you could, right. So I said, girl, but people are going to want this stuff. They're going to want it because it's beautiful. And so people were asking for it. And I remember she finally emailed me and told me that she was finally selling one and she was doing some more. And I said, people will commission, they'll commission work with you. She said, people would. And now what she's just painting her behind off. And so she's got murals and stuff in Pleasantville and Atlantic City. She's done a lot of murals, and I don't know how to get the money for it. But I saw that New Jersey State Council on the Arts and NOAA, the one that I was just talking about, they have a call for the artist, visual artist.
Yes.
So I sent that to her. I'm saying, look, hey, check into this. I sent her another one. I saw, check into that. She hasn't asked me to write anything, but at least I'm feeding her grants. So if you're a friend of mine, someone who doesn't have a lot of time, I don't have a lot of time to write them, but she hasn't asked me either. But I mean, it depends on who your relationship with me and with whomever you're going to approach. To me, it depends on what they want to charge. And so I'll send people grants if I see them. And then I'll start looking for her. I just started looking. I said, oh, let me look and see if I find anything else for her. Because I really want her, I want her to be fruitful and multiply, I want her to be great, Yeah.
Oh, nice. I want to be a friend.
I got to see more of your work now. I got to see your work, but I have to check you out. That your work behind you? Basquiat? Is that behind you?
Yeah. This is a Basquiat piece, but this is not my piece. This is a huge piece, actually.
Yeah, it is. It is. Okay.
It's 8x8, but no, that's not my piece.
Okay.
I do a lot more of art administration now.
Okay. I know the feeling.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I get my creative expression out actually in different mediums now. I very rarely draw and paint unless I'm being commissioned or working. Like I just did some work with New Brunswick Arts Council and the Windows of Understanding project. But unless it's things like that, somebody asks me specifically to do it, like I've been writing. So that's been how I've been getting my release and everything. Yeah. So.
And when I got back into arts administration, I got my visual arts Jones through the marketing pieces.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't create them, but I was creative enough to tell my graphic designer what I wanted. Do you know what I mean? And what I wanted visually, I can do that. I'm very visual when it comes to that. Yeah.
And with these grants, is there any keywords or buzzwords, anything that you could give us that might pipe it up a little bit to help us?
It depends on what the grant's for and who you're writing to, and that's when you get your buzzwords. The key thing to me when you're doing a grant is to look at what they're looking for, why they're wanting to give a grant in the first place. So their guidelines, read their guidelines, because what they're saying in their guidelines and what they're looking for, then you play to that. You definitely play to what they're looking for. If you can't play to that, don't force it. That's another thing. Don't force it. You don't want to, like I said, when the guy told me my one arm was disproportionate to the other, you don't force it. If just because the king has money out here for you doesn't mean you need to have that king's money. You know what I mean? If it doesn't fit into what you're trying to do in your creativity, with your creativity, don't jump through the hoops because you just need the money, you know, unless you really need the money. You got to pay the light bill or something and you think that's going to get it for you, then, you know, but still, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather see you go, I'd rather see an artist go and work at a laundromat and still do their art. Do you know what I mean? If it to pay the bills, instead of jumping through a hoop because there's some grant money out here. Okay. And the grantee, the grantor rather, wants people to come to them with with the reason to do the thing that they're wanting to have done. And so the artist should want to do that, not because they need the money for themselves. Do you follow me? Am I making any sense? Making any sense? Okay. You know, if I think there was another question you'd ask about am I an artist or something? Or something. It was like
Yes, but you can answer. But yeah, you told me.
you know, but it was something else. Oh, I think it was the difference between fine art and visual arts. That's what I want to, because if I think about it from this perspective, if you are, and to me, when I think of fine arts, I think of fine arts as being done because the person who's doing it is doing it because they are creating solely for their expression to get out. You know, unless you're being commissioned, but it's still your expression. What's in you has to come out, and you're demonstrating it through your art, especially visual arts, okay, or your writing, but your visual arts. It's your expression. Fine art is definitely is expression, and it's for enjoyment as opposed to being used as, it could be a vessel, but it's not created because it's being used as a vessel. It's being to be appreciated. Okay, so and visual arts, to me, everything is visual art. I mean, this thing I go on laptop, it's a design. It's visually, you know. So everything. Okay, so it's just how you look at it. Okay. But to me, when I think of fine art, I think of it's being done for appreciation, and it's an expression of that artist coming out. So I wouldn't want to see someone jump on a grant, or they heard about a grant and they jump on it because they could probably get some money from it. Now, when you read the grant, and the grant gives you the latitude to be expressive purely, and everything that the grant is saying it's wise one to do it, just like this one that I just sent to her about the National Oceanographic thing, is really working with the community and coming up with something that's going to convey risk management in the community, development of risk about flooding and stuff. Now, I don't know how the hell the artist is going to come up with that, but if they can come up with something, do you know what I mean? They're going to work with me. You know, thank God I'm a little creative, so I can come up with things. And I've got some ideas myself, but if they partner with me, I may, you know, at least they got another creative soul to go with them. But that would be something that you're jumping through a hoop to do. If that's not what you're working on in your life, your creative life right now, then you may not need to be jumping into that right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess that's kind of like my advice to artists. You know, you don't just do it for the money. You know, if like I said, go work in a laundromat. You know, go. That's why actors are being, look, what do actors do? They wait tables.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. They wait tables. They, you know, they audition it to death, but they, you know, they wait tables and stuff like that. So just, you know, do your thing, do your creative stuff. The guy, this painting, this charcoal behind me, you see it? Yes. See it? That guy graduated from college in arts. His name is Charles Williams. He lives in Kentucky or Tennessee now. He's my age bracket. But when I met him, he was in college, and I got him a couple of commissions. No, I didn't try to get him for him. It's just I turned him on to some people, and he got some commissions. And I got that out. That's my commission out of his commission, but I wasn't asked for it. He said, take something, Chase. Anyway, but in the side, when he was in college, he had a little part-time job as security guard at the Ford plant in Virginia. Do you know he retired from the Ford plant as the head of security, but he always still did his art and still sold his art and still had a studio on his property bought his home and everything else, and still thrives right to this day in doing his art, and still made a decent living at this security. You know what I mean? But he made it, and he's he even took his art to the floor plants, because in all his floor plants he did murals and everything in his floor plant. I thought it's so cool, you know. But that's just, you know, one guy back in the day.
Listen,
Yeah.
but that's what we're pushing for now, to create a lot more entrepreneurs, and to, you know, especially let the youth know that you don't have to be discouraged and go into traditional jobs because of perceived safety or security. You know, use your talents and gifts that you've been given to give
Yeah.
to the world.
Yeah.
So you know, we can all continue to grow and thrive. So that's
Yeah.
our mission. And one last question for you. What advice would you give to someone, you know, trying to break into art administration?
First of all, understand that the arts is a business.
Mm-hmm.
Treat it as such. Even if
Sure.
it's nonprofit, it's a business. Okay.
Yeah.
I would also say, I wrote my notes on that one. Plan properly. Give yourself time to plan. Don't, you know, I find that some people think that they can turn something around in 4 or 5 weeks. Think about it carefully. Make sure you have enough time. Better the error on the side of having something planned out longer and get it done quicker than to jam it up too quickly. I would say plan properly. Know your community that you're working in and working with. Know the community. Get into the community. Don't just, if you don't live there, go there and hang out. Okay. Know your people that you're working with. Think hard and budgets. I love budgets. I'm a crazy person. I'll develop a budget before I even develop a timeline. Budgets and timelines. I love them. I love them. I love them. I never thought I'd like budgets in my life, except I did get an accounting, but I thought I hated numbers. Thank goodness for Tandy Instruments. But anyway, so know how to do a budget. Know that a budget is a living, breathing document. So revisit it,
Like that.
massage it, change it, whatever you have to do. Make sure that you're staying on course, and where you got to fill up, where you got to slow down on this side, got to find some more money on this side, whatever. But keep adjusting your budgets. If you can get some education in arts management, again, it's really still business. Get some. Let me see if I have any other notes I wrote. Always remember it's a business. Plan properly. Those are the big ones. Those are the big ones. All right.
Yeah, those are huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are huge.
Mm-hmm.
That's keep somebody in line.
And I will say that if you're a founder of an organization, I'm going to give you the founder-driven syndrome stuff ahead of time. If you're a founder of an organization, don't overstay your welcome. Know that is not, you will always be the founder. You will always be the founder. Nobody will ever take that away from you. But if you overstay your welcome, meaning that if you end up that you're just driving it, down, there's a life cycle of a not-for-profit. So when you see that that it's going up there, but then it's kind of like staying there, or you're starting to do a whole bunch of other stuff over here to the detriment of that over there, then let that go. Let that go. It's a nonprofit is supposed to be here for. It should be here. Well, not should be. Most likely, it's here. You establish it for perpetuity, so it's supposed to outlive you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some nonprofits that could be here for a season or a reason, and that's fine. Okay. All right. But just think about it from the standpoint, don't stay there too long. Build it so that when you do leave, people will say, damn, she left that place on solid ground. Don't leave it when it's faltering. Leave it on solid ground. Get out while it gets good. That's what I'm saying. Okay. That's my other advice, especially if you're starting an organization as an administrator.
That was beautiful. You dropped a lot of gems.
Yeah. I will always say, if you're the artistic person and you're the creative one, get you somebody that's business and they're with you. That's why orchestras and theater companies have managing directors and artistic directors, because you need both sides of the brain so that the other one doesn't get bogged down in just all the work. You know, like I said earlier, when you're an artist, sometimes you need to step aside because you're too close to that work, and you need to look at that work and deal with that work. But if you need to have business done, you need to have somebody who's got business, or you got to be able to step outside of your art part, your creative side, and look at it from the business standpoint. And that's kind of hard to do for an artist. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, most want to create art, and that's that.
Yeah. And nothing's wrong with that. We want you. That's why I used to say I'm here for the artist. I'm here to help the artist. And I'll tell you something else. Now I got to give advice to artists. Can I give that? And I know how long I'm over your time. I want to say this to artists. Know your price. Know your price. Okay. Doesn't mean you can't negotiate, but don't ask somebody what their budget is. Know your price before you talk to anybody. When they talk to you about money, have a price in your head. Say it. And if they balk, then say, well, what are you thinking? And they go, wait, oh my God, please. I said, no, baby, no, I'm sorry. That's a little bit too low for me. Can you come up some? So know your price, and you don't have to always stick with it, but come in knowing your price. And I hate for an artist, and my musicians do this a lot, an artist to ask me, well, what's your budget? I said, no, what's your fee? Because I may be able to afford it. I may not, but tell me what you charge. And then we'll talk. I should be bold enough, smart enough to be able to handle if you tell me you're a $1,500 night band, and I know my budget is only $300, that I can't afford you. And I can say, unfortunately, I can't afford you. I say, and I might come and say, well, in my head, I say, oh, well, I don't have to have that. I can get this other band. I can get another band for $150 that I would have paid $6. So maybe I can pay this guy $6. Can you do $6? Can you do $7? So you don't know. So say your price. Okay. Because again, a budget, we've got budgets, but I can finagle a budget, maybe to have a $1,500 band for $800, not 15, but you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate the discount, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
This was beautiful. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Can I say one quote that I live by?
Go ahead.
Nothing is impossible to those who will and to those who love. Nothing.
And this has been the Art Life podcast with our special guest, Chase Jackson. Make sure you tune in the next episode. Thanks for watching.
And thank you.